Valdemar Andrade, work for the Turnef Atoll Sustainability Association. So we manage the Turnef Atoll Marine Reserve. Our grant was a rapid response grant as well. So this was timely for us during COVID because we were maintaining staff, trying to maintain staff and trying to find ways to do that. So the main thing was for us to get the rotation for the 16 officers that patrol the 360,000 acres of marine space in the Turnef Atoll Marine Reserve. And so we managed to get them back on the rotation, basically trying to get them back to 14 days on and 7 days out. During COVID, they were doing 1 month in, 1 month out, and they were basically on 50 and 75% salary. So BIOPAMA was really important to maintain the staff, and the importance of that is that the staff are highly trained, and they're trained in technology, they're trained in different things, and so to lose staff, you're not only losing a person, and the person not only losing a salary, but you're also losing all that capacity that's walking away, and you're not sure if you're ever going to get them back. We were also able to ensure that they're patrolling from the 3 bases because of the extent of the marine space that we manage. We needed to have them on the 3 bases. During COVID, the government of Belize gave out 500 more fishing licenses because the tourism industry was down. A lot of people gravitated to fishing for subsistence and for sale as well, for commercial purposes. And so we had a lot of new entrants in the fishing industry, and a lot of them were coming to Turnef, which is Area 6, because we have designated fishing areas. And so we had to be able to communicate, because our project is basically about outreach and communication to reduce fishing pressure and also reduce unsustainable fishing practice in the reserve. We had to communicate to the new fishers what the rules and regulations were, because they were conflicting with the old fishers who already knew how to comply with the regulations and knew that we were patrolling. But many of the new fishers did not know, and so many times they would advise us that fishers were doing illegal activities in zones that they weren't allowed to do things. And so we were able to communicate with them through this grant because it gave us the facility to do so. It financed a boat engine and a toolkit for us to be able to maintain the boats. And that was critical because at this time there were very limited funds. We were juggling to ensure that people are being paid, and so there are very limited funds to put into equipment, and so that helped us with that as well. On our northern base, we needed to expand the communication, and so the internet service there, so we were able to communicate, because a big part of doing enforcement and doing outreach is being able to communicate with your staff and being able to, especially when they were 1 month out at a time. So we were able to purchase that infrastructure to ensure that we were able to communicate with that base and have communication across the entire atoll. We also did a lot of crisis management, because during COVID there were times where if you had an outbreak of COVID, we had to shut down that base, sanitize it, and so we had a emergency and crisis management plan that we put in place to be able to ensure that our staff were safe, and also the engagement with whether they were tourism visitors or whether they were fishers were within a certain safety limit to be able to do that. And so a lot of the supplies and different things were also financed by this grant for us to be able to do that. I think the major impact from the grant is that we were able to maintain presence. For us, we had been working, for many years, building up our management effectiveness. And so during COVID, one of the things that we had to come to grips with is, was this going to slide back down, and then we would have to make that climb all the way up. So what the BIOPAMA grant did is for us to be able to maintain. And so we were able to still collect data, collect enforcement data, collect monitoring data, engage with the stakeholders, and so that maintenance is critical. I don't think many people understand the impact of being able to maintain the work that you're already doing and that you've invested so many years in. For us, I think in this region, BIOPAMA was very important. I think it had multiple modes of financing. Although we only got the rapid response was a very critical thing for many of us to be able to survive. I think in the future we have to look at those flexible modalities for whoever we work with in the future with IUC, and I think it is important for them to understand that you have to have flexible modalities. You also have to have alternative ways of generating revenues. And so for the protected areas, we need to not only look at grants, but also look at how can we finance revenue generation plans, how can we finance an approach that allows us to generate unrestricted funds to fill the gaps where necessary and where grants don't cover.